So this video is going to show you how to make a vegetable chili. Now, just in case you haven't seen the ratatouille video, I'm going to show you how to prepare some of your vegetables. So if you take your onion, you've got the top of your onion and you've got the root of the onion, which you should be able to identify the difference there. So to prepare your onion, first thing you're going to need to do, now keeping your fingers completely out of the way, chop down through the top of the onion. And once that is off, it should be easy enough to peel your onion. Now, I'm doing this on my chopping board and then I'm going to use a different chopping board. In school, I would prefer you to do this on your work surface and then we can just scoop that into the bin. Purely because I don't want you to have these bits of peel on your chopping board and then end up going into your chili by mistake. And just make sure there that we've taken away some of the ends of the root there. So those bits then can go into the bin. And then on your chopping board, we're going to put the onion flat down and then cut through the root. So you can see that we're still keeping the root on here. Cut through the root. Now you could, depending on the size of your onion, do our bridge hold here to make sure that your thumb and your finger are completely out of the way, and then chop through the root of the onion. Now what's going to happen there is the root is going to keep the onion in place while you chop it up. So you cut, first of all, make your cuts, if you can hopefully see this on the camera, make your cuts up to the root. And again, I'm using the claw grip there to keep my fingers completely out the way, then back to the bridge hold. So we've cut up towards the root, but we haven't gone through the root, so the root is holding it all in place. And then we can just cut in the other direction. Okay, again, using the claw grip there to make sure our fingers are out of the way, and that will give us our pieces of onion. So you do that for the two halves of your onion. So once you've got your onion chopped up, if you take your pan that we're going to do the frying of the vegetables in, now you can see I've just got a tablespoon, or maybe you can't see, but there's a tablespoon of oil in there ready. And I'm just going to pop the onions in there, ready for when we start frying them. We don't need to preheat the oil. And then that just means that the chopping board's clear for us to chop our other vegetables on. So the next vegetable that we're going to do is our pepper. So again, if you cut the top off your pepper, you can then just use your hand to pull out the centre of that and to get out the seeds. If any of the seeds, if you've got lots of seeds in there, I'm not doing, sound terrible not doing it under the camera, sorry. If you've got lots of seeds in there, you may actually want to wash it out under the tap. And then the easiest way, again, I find making sure your fingers are staying completely out of the way. So I'm just keeping hold of this and just cut that then into rings. And then once you've got your ring of pepper, you can just cut that up into smaller pieces. And again, however you're chopping it, just making sure that you're keeping your fingers completely out of the way. Okay, so again, when you've got all your pieces there of pepper, just again transfer those into your saucepan. Okay, if you do see any seeds that have accidentally managed to come through, try not to put those in. And again, now we've got the chopping board clear. The other vegetable that I'm going to do on here is the courgette. Now, in all the years that I've been at Whitchurch, I've been really impressed with the number of vegetables that pupils tend to eat at Whitchurch. I always tell in the Healthy Schools team how impressed I am with the fact that a lot of you are willing to try different vegetables. So into this one, I'm also going to put a courgette. Now, the easiest way that I find to do a courgette, and again, just holding it tightly, cut it into quite a thick slice. And then again, using the bridge hold, which means that you can't see it very well again on the camera, I tend to make two cuts in one direction, and then I'm going to do it without putting my fingers there so you can see. So we actually just get 9 chunks of courgette. Now you can just slice it, okay, but that I think just actually works in better with the other vegetables that we've got in there. So a nice big chunk. Now, as I said, I suggest you hold it with the bridge hold. I'm just going to cut it so you can see the cuts that I'm doing. Okay, so just really doing a crisscross effect on there. So again, do that with as much of the courgette as you want to put in. Okay, so I've chopped up the courgette that I want to put in there. And again, just getting my pan and transferring it in. Now, when you're cutting up your vegetables in school, you may have a whole pepper, a whole onion, a whole courgette. But if you don't want to use all of them, what you can do is just ask for a bag and you can take it home. You don't need to throw it away. You can take it home and use it for something else. So I've got in there now my onions and my pepper and my courgette, and I'm ready to start frying that. Okay, so you can see now in here I have got the peppers, the onion and the courgette. Okay, I've got it pretty much to a similar size, which is always good if you can do that, because it does, well, it always makes it nice then. It looks a lot better when you're serving it than if you've got pieces of all different sizes. And as I'm sure I've said in other videos before, just actually using a wooden spatula here. The difference why we use these in school is because we keep these for savoury dishes. So if we're doing particularly something like this where we're going to have chilli powder in there, or something garlicky, or with lots of other spices, whereas we wouldn't want to use those in our cake. So we certainly wouldn't want to be mixing this, cooking this off with a wooden spoon and then using those spoons when we actually make our muffins, for example. So when we're working again in school, different at home because you know exactly what you're using your utensils for, but in school, if we're doing something savoury, we use the wooden spatula. If we're doing something sweet, we use the wooden spoon. So once we've been frying that for a few minutes, we're just looking to soften those vegetables up. We can then add our other ingredients. Now you only need to do this over a medium heat. Okay, we're not doing anything that needs a really high heat, just over a medium heat to get those vegetables softened. Then very carefully, we can tip in your can of tomatoes and just mix that around. Okay, and it will go a bit quieter there because obviously now you've put something cold in there. Just going to take a while to get back up to the heat. And then if you're using any of the softer type vegetables, so I've got some mushrooms now to go into here. So those are going to go in, and I've also got some sweet corn that I'm going to pop in, as well as the red kidney beans, which are just canned ones which have been drained. So those are going to go in as well. So the sweet corn in and the red kidney beans in. Again, then give that a really good mix together. Now, what I haven't put in here yet is the chilli powder. Now what I'm using here today, you may want to do the same, or you may be quite happy with just your chilli powder. I'm going to put some salt and chilli powder in together here. So I've actually got a chilli salt. So I'm going to pop some of that in. And again, mix that around. Now what I would suggest at this stage, you're going to need to leave that on now for a good 5-10 minutes to cook through. Again, just turn your heat down so it's just over a low heat. If it's getting a bit dry, if you like it a bit more moist, a bit more watery, use your can so you could get some of the tomato that's left on the sides of the can as well, and put a bit more liquid in there. If you actually want to thicken it up, you can add some tomato puree. Now this is not quite as liquidy as I would like, so again I've just put some water into the can so you're getting the tomato from there as well. Adding that in carefully, and again you can see because I've put cold water in there, it's just stopped sizzling for a bit. It'll soon come back up to the heat, and again just mixing everything around there. And I'm going to leave that now, as I said, for 10 minutes just to soften those vegetables. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, we're going to turn that off. You don't want to leave it on for too long because remember, you're going to reheat it when you get home. So we don't want the vegetables to go too soft. Obviously, with this dish, you can vary up, well, the spices that you use in there, the vegetables that you use, and obviously you could choose to use some other beans other than red kidney beans if you wanted to. Once you've turned that off, just leave it cool down for a couple of minutes and then transfer that into your container ready to take home.